everybody, and welcome to the newest indoor adventure in the Four Keeps, Dissolution Part 7, Episode 149. Next week is 150, y'all. That's gonna be insane. I wonder what's gonna happen then. Today is December 6th, 2021, and you are loved. That is a very important thing that we like to remind each and every single one of our viewers and listeners at the beginning of each and every single one of these games. If this is your first time joining us, you can go to youtube.com/indooradventures to check up on all of the VODs of each of the games that we have played up until this point, or you can go towards anywhere audiocasts are made available for free. You can also find us there under the same moniker. And speaking of things that are being made available for free, if you go to indooradventure.redbubble.com, wait, no, that comes later. If you go to patreon.com/indooradventures, you can check up on our after show called Nights in the Courtyard, where we answer questions not only from the community, but also from each other. So if you have any questions for myself or any of these other fine folk, feel free to join us on our Discord. The link can be found in the Twitch chat to the side over yonder, or in the description of this video or audiocast down below. But let's say you already support us on Twitch, you already support us on YouTube and Patreon and all of those other wonderful spaces, and you're trying to think to yourself, where can I go to possibly help support this fantastic show even more? Guess what, buddy? I got your back. Quite literally, in fact, because if you go to indooradventure.redbubble.com, that's the one that I said earlier in the pot that wasn't part of the intro. We got t-shirts, we got posters, we got mugs, we got crop tops, throw pillows, shower curtains, clocks, aprons, and guess what? We also have Tia masks. That's right, we have face masks with the symbol of Tiamat upon them, designed by our very own Cyberwolf 1201, where all of the proceeds of those masks end up going to help support Doctors Without Borders. So if you want to help support a good cause, or possibly help support a good show, you can again go to indooradventure.redbubble.com. That is Indoor Adventure, no S at the end, .redbubble.com. But that is it for my opening spiel. So hey RJ, who are you playing tonight?
Hey everybody, I'm RJ, and today I'm playing Caelum, the Shatterkai Wizard. We both go by he, him.
Hi, I'm LBHackEmUp. You can find me at LBHackEmUp. I'm playing Gwen, the Halfling Barbarian Fighter. Chaos!
I'm Cyber. I use he or any pronouns, but I play Arjhan. He's something. He uses he him pronouns.
Hey everybody, I'm Wings. I'm playing as Cori under the Elgin Paladin. I use she, her pronouns, and Cori uses she, they, or he.
And I am the Indoor Adventurer, he, him, and tonight I shall be your Dungeon Master. So, last we left off, with the help of Caelum turning into a giant purple worm, you were able to burrow directly underneath the Fortress of Memory, and breaking in through the sewer with Lesenor's help, you were able to end up making your way through the tiered castle itself. From the very bottom, you made your way all the way to the library within this fortress, and upon entering, your elven companions all seem to be met with some sort of, I don't want to necessarily call it an affliction, but an overwhelming urge and desire to find the things that the Raven Queen had taken from them, to identify these things that they had felt was lost. At this point, Cori was overtaken with the urge to begin looking through these piles. Your half-elven companion, Lesenor, also overtaken to begin looking through these piles, and Caelum was the only one out of the three of them to kind of shake the feeling that he needed to go and do this, although he still felt that desire. It was at that point, Caelum, that you were able to find a small replica library containing all of the books that had been stolen from Saloon's library. Lesenor ended up finding what looked like a small wooden toy that, upon finding it, caused his head to kind of cock back, tears to stroll from his eyes, where he said that the next time that he saw her, unknown name, that he was going to kill her. At this point, you all just had to make a real quick adjustment to make sure that he was talking about someone who is not the Raven Queen. You don't want to kill the Raven Queen. And he assured you that no, it was his mother who had abandoned him. And at that point, we switched over to Cori, who had been digging through all of these treasures, trying to find the things that had once belonged to her. And it was at this point, Cori, that you spied a large dresser, and inside of this dresser, this cabinet with these glass panes upon it, you had seen a set of items. Last week, we did not have descriptions for these items. However, the ones that you see resting on the shelves are a lute, a wood carving knife, a rapier, a symbol of Coralon, and a small mechanical bird. These are your things. And when we say these are your things, we mean that previously in this campaign, every time that Cori had died, which happened a few times, aspects of her previous lives were taken by the Raven Queen in order to facilitate the revenant form that she had taken on. Inside of this cabinet, you believe, houses the memories and spirits of each of those things that had been taken from you. In a very greedy Gus moment, you decided to reach out and go to take out these things to reclaim them, only to find your hands sticking upon the cabinet itself in an almost adhesive-like manner as the cabinet, the top of it, began to open to reveal a row of teeth and 2 small eyes as the hordes of trash and treasure that seemed to be littered around this library also began to come to life as you all realized, although you had seemed rather alone in this library, maybe you weren't by yourselves. So, as this begins, I'd like for everybody to roll initiative.
22.
18.
Damn, Caelum.
11.
And Cori?
I apologize. One moment. Button. Oh, shit. Natural 20 for 21.
Good job, gang. Rolling high. This is a good time. All right, so then let me sort this here list. All right, so at the top of this round, Arjhan, as you have been looking out and making sure that you were not followed into this library, you then began, with Gwen's help, looking after your elven companions as they seem drawn to different parts of the central chamber, only to then watch as Cori reached out for a cabinet, hands get stuck, and now all hell is breaking loose. You are at the top of the initiative round. What would you like to do?
Okay. So,
in order to
whoa.
set the scene, you see that there are a total of 3 separate piles of treasure/debris that seem to be moving on their own, as well as what looks like 2 other dresser drawer things that seem to be also activating and moving on their own. So you are clocking in at 6 individual things here.
Okay. How many would I be able to possibly, just as a possibility, scrunch together within a, let's say, where the fuck is this spell area? Within 5 feet of each other. Let's say, are there like 2 of them that are relatively close to each other?
Yeah, I would say that you'd be able to get one of the giant dressers as well as one of the hordes.
Perfect. I would like to cast Hail of Thorns at 4th level.
Hell yeah. Let's see it.
So that was my bonus action.
Okay.
So then I would like to shoot the bigger of those.
Okay.
With a 22 to hit.
That'll hit.
So, first off, 10 points of, let's go with fire damage.
Okay.
And then this is 4th level. And then I need the target of the attack and each creature within 5 feet of it to make a dexterity saving throw DC 17.
Okay, let me check. So that is a 17 from the Horde, and
Just
then
succeeds.
a 4 from the Dresser.
That fails.
Okay.
So on a failure, they will be taking 25 points of piercing damage.
Okay.
And 12 on a success.
Sounds good.
I would like to take a second shot at the biggin.
Okay.
27 to hit.
That'll hit.
So, 17 points of fire damage.
Okay.
And for my dread ambush, final attack, same thing, biggin, 30 to hit.
Yep.
So that's that, and then I need 1d8 damage. Okay. 21 points of fire damage.
Okay.
And then I would like to get a little bit airborne so that I get a better view of the situation.
Okay. Sounds good. So next up, Cori. Cori, you have found yourself grappled by this dresser drawer or by this large cabinet that is housing things that do not belong to it. They belong to you, gosh darn it. However, you are currently grappled by the target.
Are the items real? But it's like still inside this mimic cabinet.
You think that the items are real?
Okay. Well, in that case, I'm right where I want to be, so I'm just gonna take out my sword and try and take it down. I'll use my bonus to become primal mode.
Okay.
Sorry, I'm trying to remember where that is. Guardian of Nature, that's it. And I'll do Primal Beast. It does the whole thing. Increases my walking speed, dark vision, strength-based attacks at advantage, and the extra d6 of attack. So here I go. That's a 30 to hit.
Yeah, that'll do it.
All right, I'll throw let's do a tentative second level smite. So, like, it's going to be 15 slashing damage,
Okay.
3 force damage, and 16 plus 8 radiant damage.
Sounds good.
All right, and then here comes the second attack. That's going to be a 22 to hit.
Yep.
All right, that'll be 10 slashing damage, 2 radiant damage, 2 force damage, and I'll throw another smite on that for an additional 15 radiant damage.
Excellent.
All right, that's it for me.
Okay. Sounds good. So then next up is one of the large cabinet-looking ones that is not currently engaged with you. And they are... Let me see... Sounds good. So you see that it sort of like sidles, like it does the whole like Beauty and the Beast, like walking from like side to side, in that it is still maintaining the shape of a cabinet, even though it is being a tad bit more aggressive this time around. And you see that like it crunches inward, almost like it's doing like an ab roll, and then it pops open, and as it does, the cabinet doors actually open up to reveal what looks like a sickly mouth inside of the drawer, inside of the cabinet doors, as a spray of acid is actually going to shoot out. So, Caelum, I need you to make a dexterity saving throw.
Nope, we're back at it. 7.
7? Alrighty. So, let me get... Just get that rolled up for you. You are going to be taking a total of 35 points of acid damage
Oof, owie.
as this thing expels acid upon you. Then next up is the one that Arjhan, you had shot down or that you had hit with your Hail of Thorns. It did not appreciate that. And it is also going to do this sort of like ab roll and then expel outward, trying to target you with acid because it does not like the fact that you have attempted to hit it. I would like for you to make a dexterity saving throw, please.
Me, right?
18.
No?
18?
Okay,
Alrighty. So you are going to be taking half as much acid damage, but I believe you have a certain...
I do have a reaction.
Yeah. Okay.
I would like to absorb the acid,
Okay.
so I'll take I'll take half of the half.
Okay, so it would be half of 28 to 14, and then
To
half
14, so
again to
7.
7.
Sweet.
All right, so that was the 2 large cabinets. Caelum, it is your turn.
Alrighty then. One's grappling Cori currently, right?
That is correct.
Cool. Cool. I'm gonna hit that one with a guiding bolt.
Okay.
Does a 14.
Yes, sir.
Oh, sick. High level D&D is fun. 14 points of lightning damage, I believe I said guiding bolt was.
Mhm.
Yep. And next hit on it gets advantage.
Okay. Next.
I'm gonna back the fuck up away from these towards the door.
Okay, sounds good. So next up is going to be Lee. And he looks at the situation at hand, sees that there are like these like hordes that have animated themselves. He sees that there is this large cabinet that Cori is currently involved with. And he sees that cabinet that Cori is involved with is currently glowing. And he feels like he knows what that means. So from the space that he is, since he is near Cori, you see him whip with his dagger, Silent Night, as he has called it, in an attempt to throw it towards the actual creature that currently has involved itself with Cori. So let's see what he gets. That is an 18 to hit, which do. Then he deals 32 points of damage on the quick stab. And then as a bonus action, he is going to hide. Because he rogue. Why wouldn't he?
Rogues.
That's a natural 20.
Rogues!
For a total of 36. And yeah, so you just see him like dagger is out, pierces into the creature, dagger disappears, and you look back to where he was and he is just gone. Like no longer in that place. Next up is the Horde Mimic that Arjhan had hit with a Hail of Thorns. So it is going to it begins to shake and shimmer, and as it does, the all of the bits and pieces of it begin to rub together, and you see that there is almost like that it's almost like heat lines that seem to be coming from the creature itself, but then it roils back and then extends itself in a wave-like fashion forward, and as it does, those heat lines kind of travel with it, creating a almost like heavy cloud that seems to extend from it. And you realize that this is not heat, this is a stench that it seems to carry with it. So Gwen, I need you and Caelum to make dexterity saving throws, please. As it fires off this acid in a 30-foot cone.
Even after I've run back to the door.
Yes.
Can I have a religious exemption? Because Talos isn't about that life.
I'm sorry.
Also, I think, LB, you do this at advantage because this is an effect you can see.
Mm-hmm.
A spell effect, right? 18.
This is not a spell effect, but that is still as good of a dexterity save as any.
That was my second one.
4.
All right. So
Caelum's having a time.
Wait, am I rolling at advantage or not?
you were not.
You are because of Barbarian.
That one, yes. Your
It's an
danger
effect
sense.
it's a dex
Oh, right.
save that you can see.
Oh, right. Yes, I know how to play this character.
We're at
been
level
a few
17,
weeks.
man. It's gonna happen.
All right. So on a failed save, Caelum, you are going to be taking 22 points of damage,
Jesus.
of acid damage, and you are blinded until your next until the end of your next turn. On a successful save, being Gwen, you will take half, being 11. All right, and then that is all that this horde does, and you actually see that it begins to move towards another pile of goodies, and then just tries to kind of disguise itself among the debris. That is the horde's turn. Next up is Gwen, and you see that there are still 2 active hordes. The large creature that Cori is currently engaged with, as well as the 2 cabinets that seem to be like spewing acid from inside.
Boy, I don't like acid. So I'm gonna, I would like to Tiny Rage, please.
Okay.
And then Gwen is going to go attack one of the biggins, the cabinets.
Okie dokie.
And I am going to roll on here. because
Are you
that's
going to
easier.
be attacking the one that Arjhan had hit previously with a Hail of Thorns, or are you going for one that has been undamaged?
Yes, Hail of Thorns.
Okay.
So I get advantage?
Yes.
No. Oh.
Or
Okay, so
no, you wouldn't have advantage from the Hail of Thorns. It's just already been
Right.
damaged.
okay. I am going to attack it twice. One was a 22, one was a 20.
Both hit.
Filthy 20. And then do you need to know fire versus slashing?
Nope. Give me both.
That is 23 damage for the first hit
Okay.
and 27 damage for the second hit.
That was exactly what you needed to fell that one.
Gosh.
So with a quick Zorro-like swipe, this thing has just been like dismantled, and although you were hoping for like that satisfying wooden crunch, there is at first, but as you finish the second one, there are no wood splinters. Instead, it's just this thing that sort of like shudders and then collapses onto the ground in like a weird gooey pile.
Oh shit. Gross.
Mm,
Okie dokie.
yucky. All right,
That's
so
it.
Gwen, that was it for you. Next up is one of these hordes, and they are going to approach you. And when they do, they are going to make some attacks towards you. As Gwen, you just watch this wave of treasure make its way towards you, almost in a sentient wave of goodies. And as it approaches you, it is going to lash out with this collection of, well, collections. Does a 12 hit you?
No, surprisingly.
All right, and then a second attack for a 23.
Yeah, that hits.
Okay. Ooh, it made sound there. That is going to be for 15 points of bludgeoning damage, and then you are considered grappled. And then it is going to make a bite attack, as after it is lashed out with these 2 tendrils of treasure, you see that a central mass of this kind of extends open, and you see things like crowns and daggers and bits and pieces that actually create a vacuous maw inside of this large mound of treasure as it reaches out to try and bite out towards you. So that is going to be for a 25 to hit.
Sure does.
And then that is going to be for 15 points of piercing damage and 10 points of acid damage on top of that.
Roger Dodger.
And that is it for its turn. Inside of this room, not only have you seen treasures, not only have you seen bookcases, you have also seen statues. And it's at this point that you begin to hear the grinding of stone as one of the statues upon the wall begins to move from its position as you watch this large stone creature begin to make its way into the battlefield as well. And as it does, you see that it is going to, let me see here. It is going to make a motion with its hand towards your companion who is currently mid-flight. And as it does, you see a sickly greenish energy launch from its hand towards your friend. So I need, let me see here. Arjhan, if you could make a Constitution saving throw for me.
7.
A 7 is not going to be enough. So you are going to be taking a total of 60 points of necrotic damage as the statue casts Finger of Death upon you.
Did you roll a 1?
No,
Okay.
I rolled a 4.
All right, so large, mean statue is also in with this combat as well. Next up is another one of these hordes. Gwen, you are currently grappled by one of them. Caelum, you are up against the wall. You are blinded. That means easy pickings for one of these hordes as well, as they are going to make their way towards you. As they do, I believe if you are blinded, they have advantage on their attacks against you.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so they are going to do some heckin' bites, or at least one bite. And that is going to be for a 19 to hit.
Shield goes up from Caelum, I believe. Yep.
Okay, sounds good. And then they are going to make some attacks against you with their treasury tendrils. 17 wouldn't hit you, and then a 11 would not hit you as well, as it seems like being blind but having a shield up is a really good call right now. So it is unable to do that. Next up is the cabinet that is currently engaged with Cori, and it is going to try and make some attacks against you. So that's a natural 1, so nope. And then a 15 would not hit you, Cori.
Would not.
And then the next one that goes through is a 13. So this cabinet is just not having a great day.
Would it do so at advantage?
It would. Thank you. Because you grappled.
Yeah. Well,
Does
I mean, like that's a not a an overarching rule. It's a like by monster rule. So if the monster specifically gets advantage from grappling me.
Got you. Yeah, has advantage on any attacks made against a creature grappled by it. So does a 20 hit you?
Yes, exactly.
Ah, excellent. Teacher, we have homework. You take 7 points of bludgeoning damage.
I think you mean 4.
And then 15 still doesn't hit. And a 9 still doesn't hit. So one of those attacks, even though they all had advantage, ended up going off without a hitch. But that is it for that. Next up, Arjhan. Arjhan, a new combatant, has entered the battlefield of this large walking statue.
Tell me, what sort of things would I know about like this particular kind? Like, is this thing like made of limestone or something else that's particularly, acid vulnerable?
It does
Because
not.
I would love that.
It would not be a quickly soluble stone. It looks like it is made of a rather hard-looking granite.
Okay. Okay, so probably not fire. Okay. I would very much like to cry. I would like to shoot it. I just want to go force damage.
Okay.
So I'm just gonna like spin the chamber and shoot out 31 to hit.
Yeah, that'll do it.
I would like to mark this thing as my favorite foe.
For sure.
Is there anything next to it?
Next to it, the one remaining cabinet mimic that had spit at you previously.
Okay, I'm going to follow up with another Hail of Thorns then. But
Okay.
first, this thing is going to be taking 16 points of damage.
Okay.
I'm going to shoot again, casting Hail of Thorns at... Sorry, Discord changed its notification sound, and it's very distracting. It's like a jingle bell.
Oh, because it's holidays now.
Yeah. At 4th level.
Okay.
And then I will shoot.
Okay, and it needed to make a dexterity save?
Yes. 17 on it and the creature next to it.
Okay, so the statue surprisingly got a 17. The mimic, not so much.
Okay. Does a 19 hit the statue?
A 19 does hit the statue.
Okay. So it will be taking 14 points of force damage.
Okay.
Change tabs, go down to the 4th level. Okay. Okay. On a failure, it would be taking 13 points. On a success, it would be taking 6.
Okay.
Piercing damage, in case it has resistance to that.
It looks like the statue does. But it seems like the damage that it has taken from the Hail of Thorns, it looks like as the thorns strike out against this statue, that it's not that they are not sinking in all the way that they should, but the statue almost has a brief shimmer that washes over it as it is met by this spell that seems like it is partially negating some of that damage, almost like there's something about the statue itself that is resistant to magic.
Okay. That's it.
Okay, next up, Cori.
Surely not. I just went. No?
No, it's been full round.
Oh my god. Okay. All right. I will attack. As I am wont to do, a 23 to hit.
Okay. So a 23 super hits that.
All right. 9 slashing damage, 3 radiant damage, 3 force damage.
Okay.
I'm going to throw a 3rd level smite this time.
And would you roll to hit?
Huh?
Would you roll to hit?
A 23?
Yes. Okay, cool.
Uh,
I forgot, immediately after you said it. So
oh,
just checking.
okay. That's fine.
I was like,
An additional 24 radiant damage for my smite.
okay. As you do this, the cabinet that has adhered to you like as you strike into it, that radiant burst occurs, and you just watch as its form sort of crumples, as all of these things that it once held inside of it are just like inside of this viscous mound of what looks like a potentially Newtonian fluid. You're not sure exactly how much
Neato.
you can kind of dabble in there.
Well, those things can wait. I'm gonna turn and look and see that my party is being attacked by Beast's Castle. I would like to face step over to where Gwen and Caelum are. What is the biggest, baddest looking thing here?
There is a large statue that you watched like shoot a beam of death at Arjhan while he was flying in the sky. And then there are a bunch of these like amalgous treasure hoards that seem to be going around as well. One of them is engaged with Gwen, and another seems to be engaged with Caelum. Caelum is about 30 feet back, up against the door to the library, where Gwen has not really moved from where she was. It looks like the danger came to her this time around, and she's just been doing her best to stomp shit as it comes.
Okay. Well, Caelum appears to have been backed into a corner. So I'm going to attack the horde that's attacking him.
Okay.
That's 25 to hit.
That'll do it.
15 slashing damage, 6 radiant damage, and 3 force damage.
Okie dokie.
I'll do a smite at first level. So that's an additional 9 radiant damage.
Okay.
That's it for me.
Sounds...
Oh, I also face stepped. I'm going to infer. What's the right word for this? I'm gonna grant my face step ability to Gwen and Caelum.
Imbue.
So, imbue. That's the one I was looking for. All right, which means that Gwen and Caelum are going to get 10 temporary hit points. As long as you have this temporary hit points, you gain +2 AC.
Nice. Hey, Wings, do you wanna heal Caelum up a bit too?
I can't.
Don't you
What
do
about-
something when you hit
On
people?
attacks?
Shit, yes, I do. I do want to. Fuck. I was like, I can't do that.
Sorry,
What?
can't do it.
Don't
And
do it.
not a star.
Everybody tripping over themselves to make the same joke. Quick. All right. Yes, I would love to heal you. Let me just double check where the exact thing that my shield says. You get well, shit. It's not a heal, it's a temporary hit point thing. So
it does not stack, so
yeah, it doesn't stack. But you know what? I will remember it in the future, and you will, as I keep on saying that I will. My turn's done.
Okay, next up is one of these cabinets. The one that, see, you taken damage from the Hail of Thorns. It seems that it has regained a little bit of its posture, and that it is no longer slumping forward. And you see that it once again does this curl, and as it approaches, as it kind of like waddles out a little bit further, it is going to do this curl and then shoot out towards the blind fellow against the door. Caelum, I need you to make a dexterity saving throw for me.
picking on the wizard. 5.
Okay, 5. You are going to be taking a grand total of 32 points of acid damage.
Fowie.
It's +5. Doesn't help, but
No, it does not help. Thank you, though. Would a 10 save?
No. No.
No. Okay. I just had to make sure.
Okay. Then that is it for that creature's turn. Caelum, it is your turn. You are blind until the end of your round.
Yeah, you know what? I might as well.
I'm horrified
Um,
at this.
I'm gonna overcharge because I can't to cast a spell. But Caelum casts Time Stop.
I did not know that you knew this spell.
I've been saying it. I stop time for 4 rounds, so it's my turn for 4 rounds.
Hey, Caelum,
Hey,
can you roll me a D100?
I know.
No,
I got you.
this is something else.
Oh, is it? Oh no.
Yeah.
1.
Yeah?
On
Out of a D100, I got a 1. It's
Is
time
this
for the
bad?
It's the worst timeline, I think.
Oh no.
This is brilliant. And I love this very, very much.
Also, Caelum ages 3 years.
That part's fine.
That part's fine.
So, Caelum, as you time stop, you roll this 1. The world stops moving for you, as you would expect from this time stop spell. But the thing that is most astounding is that along the upper ridges of this room, you actually hear what sounds like a fractured sound, almost like a brief breaking. And when you look, there are holes that have appeared in the sky above you. Specifically, there are 3 of them. And through these holes, you see that through one is a set of reddish strings that seem to be coming down, and these red threads are connected to the mimics. They are connected to this activated statue. In another one of these holes, you see what looks like a bird cage that is in a darkened area by itself. And in the third opened hole, you see what looks like a lovely pasture. Green, bright, and vibrant.
Caelum, don't walk into the light. You know what? Caelum's gonna, for the first turn, move out of range of this mimic.
Okay.
Can I see through the hole, through the birdcage, or is it empty? Or
Looking up into these from, again, you have cast Time Stop, so you are the only person who is currently able to move. Looking up into the first of the fractured holes, you see 2 large clawed hands that seem to be still moving on their own, but it looks like they are met with some sort of resistance. And then you see them shake and vibrate, and you feel like you know whose hands these are that are currently manipulating the mimics that are here. Through the second one, where you see this bird cage, you see that the bird cage itself has, like, the base of it isn't just like your standard droppings, like your standard area where that you would expect like a bird to be living in. It looks like there is a landscape that is here. This area is in shadow, and inside of this cage, as you are looking, you can see that there are mountains, there are clouds, there are rivers, there are lakes. Like, there is an entire place that exists inside of this bird cage. And getting an even closer look, as you are able to, given the circumstance, it looks like a small scale replica of the land that you have found yourself in. That inside of this bird cage is what looks to be the Shadowfell. And in this third hole, this third opening with this brilliant green pasture, you see that there is somebody giving a lesson. There's a older looking figure. You can't really make out their face, but they seem to be like hands out speaking to a group of young children.
I'll unpack that later. Can I cast Steel Wind Strike and focus on the red threads? This will break time stop because I'm attacking.
I would say yes.
I take 5 points of psychic damage, force damage, something like that. All right. So on the first, where's my? This is on the mimic. The thread's on the mimic that was in front of me. 25 to hit.
That'll hit.
For 29 points of force damage.
Okay.
Second mimic is a natural 20.
Ooh, butts. Okay. Was this one of the cabinets or one of the hordes?
One of the... Fuck. I thought we killed one of them.
There's one cabinet left.
Okay,
The
so
rest
it's
are
going to
hordes.
be... Oh, okay. So it's going to be on a cabinet.
Okay.
64 points of force damage.
Butts. Okay.
And finally, the threads on the statue
Okay.
for 19 to hit.
Okay.
Dealing... Stop that. 43 points of force damage.
Okay. Sounds good. So 43. Yeah. Sounds good.
And I'd like to think it's like Cori turns their head to where Caelum is, and there's just a... As he's gone, all of a sudden he is standing behind the mimic in that sort of, what's it? Nothing personnel, kid.
Amazing. So you stand behind and you're standing behind like the horde that you had struck, or are you standing behind the cabinet?
Whatever was in front of him at the door.
Okay, that would have been the horde. The cabinet itself, like Cori, there, like you just hear like a popping noise from like 30 feet away as one of these mimics just seems to explode. As Caelum, you dealt enough on the cabinet that it is no longer a threat. However, as time seems to sync back up for you, Caelum, you hear what sounds like a haphazard sewing, quickening in pace, coming from the direction of those holes that you had seen, those breaks in the sky, and for a brief moment, you swear that you can see what looks like red dust falling in a almost crisscrossed pattern. It doesn't seem like it has the precision of going back and forth in a meaningful way. This is like a Civil War doctor who was good at stitching people, but like definitely was not a doctor, just kind of got the bits back to where they needed to go. All right, so Caelum, that was your turn. Next up is Lee, who has been hiding out in the shadows at this. At this point, you see that they rush out from behind one of the bookshelves and are going to attempt to stab out at this statue. Let's see if they are able to do anything. 17 to hit. That is good. For a total of 32. Because they are not using a magical attack. Takes the full brunt. That is... Then Lee is going to disengage. Get the fuck out of there. Or don't even need to roll. He can just disengage and then, like, sidles up near Gwen at this point. But that is it for its turn, or his turn. Next up is the Horde Mimic that was on Caelum. Let's see here. Okay, so it has taken this damage. It does not like it, and it is going to begin to shimmy shake again now that you have plopped yourself behind it, adjacent to Cori, and Lee has turned their back as well. What a delightful cone this is for this creature. So I need Caelum, Gwen, Cori, and Lee to all make dexterity saving throws.
24. Fuck you, Mimic.
Okay.
18.
Gwen? 13?
+5?
+5.
How your aura is 10 feet,
Oh.
right?
Oh.
Did you roll with advantage? Yes? Oh.
What the fuck?
All right. So,
Oh, I'm sorry, I was muted. It wasn't popping up that I was.
that's okay.
It's okay.
So, on a success, everyone who rolled a success, you will be taking half of 33 points of acid damage.
17?
Yes. And then on a fail, you take the full 33 and you are blinded until the end of your next round.
Bitch! Am I still being eaten?
Yeah, you're still also grappled by
Cool,
another
cool,
one of
cool,
these
cool,
things.
cool.
And Lee, because he's a smarmy rogue who succeeded on his dex save, takes nothing. Okay, so that is what it is going to do. Then next up, he is feeling smarmy, but the Horde Mimic that had hidden itself in the treasures is going to come after him and try and do a heckin' pseudopod attack towards him. That is going to be 27 to hit, so Lee is getting hit on that one. And then he is going to be taking 13 points of bludgeoning damage. And then it is going to make a second attack now that he has been pseudopoded. For 20, he is going to be taking another... Oh, that wasn't right. 10 points of damage. Oof, owie. And then he gonna get bit. Probably. 15. Haha! The rogue lives. But now he also has this horde that is directly onto him. Next up, it is the statue's turn. And the statue... Let's see... Statue is then going to turn, and its head sort of like seems to just quickly swivel. Like it doesn't move using a neck necessarily. It has like separate moving pieces, so it can just directly like turn, almost like it's on a bevel of sorts. And you just see that it raises its arm towards you, Gwen. Gwen, I need you to make a Constitution saving throw. This would be at disadvantage because it is coming from a source you cannot see.
Counterspell!
Okay, you go to counterspell.
Gonna go for a 4th level counterspell.
Okay.
So I need to roll a d20, correct?
Excellent. It turns out that this magical statue also has a few spells up its sleeve. Counter your counter.
I tried.
All
It
right.
has no reaction.
It does not.
This
So,
is going for Gwen.
do I...
Constitution
I'm
saving
rolling
throw.
at
That is correct.
disadvantage, but I... Hold on. Is this... It's not the one within 5 feet of me, right?
It is not. No, this is the statue.
Okay. Here we go. 14 and 14 is the lowest.
Okay, so 14 is not enough for this here creature. So Gwen, you are going to be taking a total of 69 points of necrotic damage.
Nice.
However, since you are near me and I have my old oath back, you have resistance to damage from spells.
Is she within 10 feet of you?
That's a you question. How come I have no
I
money?
mean, like, you included us both in a cone earlier.
The
so I
cone was
imagine
30
we're-
feet.
Oh.
And Caelum had moved 30 feet back where the mimic had gone, so there was a 30 feet disparity. Gwen would be outside of the 10-foot range.
It's up to you, man. I don't
Yes.
know. I'm just saying.
Outside of the 10-foot range.
It's okay. I'll one day get to use this again.
Can I use my tattoo?
Yes, what does your tattoo do?
The shadowy defense. When you take damage, you can use your reaction to become more
Insubstantial?
Insubstantial, incorporeal, I guess.
That one.
For a moment, having the damage you take, then the reaction can't be used again until the next sunset. I mean, it doesn't matter. 69 damage isn't going to down me, but it'd be nice. Can I do that?
To down you?
Or
What?
to down you, or to use your reaction? You can certainly use your reaction.
I
That's
would
in the
like to use my
courtyard.
reaction to do that.
Okay. Yeah, you can definitely use your reaction to do this. When you do, you feel it's almost like a burning sensation in your leg as you see Hexton actually appear in front of you with the flat side of his greatsword pointed up as this finger of death strikes.
I can't see anything.
Right. The rest of you see this. That as this finger of death strikes, the finger, like, full blast towards this Goliath spirit that you have seen with this greatsword rather than a great axe seems to take the brunt of the damage, and as they do, they just get a large smile on their face, very similar to the way that Gwen smiles when she takes a shit ton of damage. This guy seems like he lives for this kind of shit. And then Gwen, as that burning sensation dies down, the rest of you see Hexton then disappear. But there was a bluish glow from Gwen's leggy as he appeared. So then next up after that is going to be Horde Mimic, who is betrayed by the boy who left. They are going to turn and they are going to try and bite out towards Cori, or at least use a pseudopod, because you are now closest to them and they hungry. Okay, so that is going to be a 21 to hit.
That'll hit.
Okay, for a total of 18 points of bludgeoning damage, and you are now grappled.
No. This shit again.
Yep, so then they are going to try and strike out at you with a second pseudopod with a 14 with advantage on that one.
No, that one doesn't hit.
Okay, and then they're going to try and do a heckin' bite, also with the advantage, for a 21 to hit.
That will hit.
Okay, then you are going to be taking 19 points of piercing damage and 3 points of acid damage.
All right.
Okay, next up, our eye in the sky, Arjhan.
Okay, so how many mimics?
At this
Too
point,
many?
you just see that there are the 3 hordes that are left, as well as this animated statue, which seems that it is not holding on very well at this point.
How's everybody doing?
Not well for Caelum, but he's trying.
But about half, I'm okay.
All right.
Gwen, would you like to attack? You just use your reaction.
Yes, I did.
If I
Caelum,
attack-
how does a 3rd level healing word sound?
Sounds good. I could attack off of that too.
Yeah. How about 10 points of healing?
Yum. And I'll use my reaction to attack. Sure. Am I attuned to this? Sorry. Just real quick. Nope. Okay, cool. Poor boy. At least he's trying. 11 to hit the mimic in front of him.
An 11 does not.
I rolled really low.
Arjhan jammed something very quickly into crossbow and does a motion similar to cocking it. There's a sound of shattering glass, and he aims the crossbow at Gwen and shoots her.
It's poison.
Gwen, you heal 18 points. I shoved in a potion of greater healing. That was my first attack. For my second one, I am shooting this goddamn statue.
Okay.
25.
Okay, 25 hits.
20 points of damage.
Okay. It only had 19 left.
Okay, so I would like to shoot a hole in it.
Okay. Big ol' hole inside of this large stone boy. There's that, like, satisfying, like, outward puff of stone and debris from it as it just begins to topple backwards onto the piles of things that are here.
That's it.
No longer a threat. Next up, Cori.
All right, which one just went down?
The large animated statue.
Really?
Yes, so now there are only 3 Horde Mimics left.
All right. Cool, cool, cool. Well, I'm going to attack the one that's on me.
Okay.
That's
Did I get to go that round?
You were blinded. But I don't think that we actually had you go. Wait. Because it was Lee, Horde Mimic, then it was you. No, I think we missed you.
Cool. I'm just going to say I rolled a natural 20 and I still want to use it
Okay.
later.
We're going to
Take
hold
your
on to that one.
I'm saving it. Okay. Gwen, I can't see.
Nope.
But I can. I'm not restrained, right?
You
I'm
are
not
grappled. Yes.
I am grappled, but I can still hit. So I'm going to do that. Actually, wait, no. I'm going to manifest an echo.
Okay.
Nope, just kidding. I can't. I have to see. I'm going to attack twice.
Okay.
To get this thing off me. The first one is a 24 to hit.
Okay, that'll hit.
The second one is another dirty 20.
Okay. Both hit.
For 31 damage on the first one and 28 damage on the second one.
Alrighty. That creature had 34 health before you hit
Hell
it.
Yeah.
Significantly less than that by the time that you finished your attacks.
Yes, I would like to fall to the ground and like reach up for Gray Skull to help me up, and then you're like, oh.
Okay. Well,
That's my
thankfully,
turn.
as you reach up, like as you're blinking, like looking for Grayskull, your vision comes back to you because it was at the end of your turn that you were then able to get your hands with.
Do I need to roll to see who I summoned?
Didn't you need to see in order to use your echoes?
I can summon the. Oh no, you're right. I'm sorry.
Yeah. That was what you just said, so I was
I
making
did just
sure.
say that.
All right.
And I had a plan, and then I was like, wait a minute. Oh, no, I can't do that. But the plan was stuck.
All right.
Cool.
So, Cori.
All right. Natural 20.
Okay. Savory. You got this.
Okay, this is going to be 20 slashing damage, 10 radiant damage, 2 force damage. Is he still up?
Yes, he is.
Okay. Smite for 26 radiant damage.
Okay.
Second attack?
Sure.
Okay. I will do that. That's... Oh, yeah, sure enough. It's another natural 20.
Holy shit.
I'm doing these at advantage, so it's not... it's not that impressive. Okay, that's going to be 16 slashing damage, 8 radiant damage, and 12 force damage.
Repeat those numbers.
Sorry. 16 slashing damage, 8 radiant damage, 12 force damage.
Okay. Remind me why you were attacking with advantage.
Because I am in primal mode, baby.
Gotcha. Okay. Cool. So, that horde that started the round with 90 hit points also reverts to a pile of smoldery goo.
Also, 10 temporary hit points for Gwen and Caelum.
Okay. Sounds good. So all that is left is the one Horde Mimic that is currently attacking your companion, Lessinor. Caelum, it is your turn.
Caelum has had it up to here with this mimic bullshit. So I'm going to go for broke on one spell. He turns to the mimic and says something in the language of the lost, and he's casting Power Word Stun on it.
Okay.
There is no save for the initial stun.
Okay. Is it like if it has less than X HP?
It's less than 150.
Okay. Yeah, had less than 150.
And at the end of each of its turns, it can make a con save.
Okay, but it's just stunned even if people start attacking it?
Mm-hmm.
All right, do you guys want to go through the motions of kicking the shit out of a dude dressed up as a wizard outside of a Spirit Halloween, or...
It's the scene out of fucking JoJo where they have the guy down on the floor and they start kicking him.
Yeah, it's just like literally everyone just stomping on this guy. Okay, so yeah, between all of you, its meager amount of health, I don't think, would stand up towards that. So the mimics are no longer a problem.
We solved your mimic problem or puzzle.
Excellent.
So I take it she knows where we are.
I think Caelum has a small nosebleed.
What the fuck were those things? It was like a closet, but it wasn't a closet.
Mimics, for the most part.
Cori
Mimics.
hands Caelum a handkerchief as she passes by him. She climbs back up to where the memories were.
If I look up, are there still holes in the sky?
The holes you had saw had been quickly almost sewn back up, and then you had just seen sort of like red trailings from where they were. But Caelum, as you were looking at the red trailings, you see that they actually have like fallen behind some of the other bookcases and shelves. And as Cori is making her way over to gather up the goodies that were once her and Caelum, you are looking at these red trails. The lot of you inside of this room begin to hear the sounds of a music box. And it seems like it is coming from around one of these shelves. And from this music box, the song that plays is sad and lonely, and it plays a song unto itself that carries with it an impossible weight that is lifted only by its curious nature. Do you follow it?
Caelum's gonna follow it.
Okay.
The fuck is he going?
Is it in the room?
It is.
Where is it in the room?
Caelum seems like he has a good idea of where it is. Seems like it's behind some of these shelves inside of this library. And as you follow the sounds, you find what appears to be a cutaway replica to the fortress that you currently occupy. And the song plays from one of the rooms that is within this replica. And looking at its source of where this song comes from, and this would be the three of you that are here, having followed Caelum. Lessinor is following behind all of you, just sort of curious as to what's going on. Cori, you said that you were going to grab your goodies. So you hear this song as well, though you are grabbing onto your things. And those of you who are viewing this this cutaway replica, you see that inside of one of these rooms, that there are two handcrafted painted dolls that are inside of this room. One with the hair of an autumn sunset, the other wearing a very intricate looking robe that matches the robe that your wizard companion currently wears. And you see that these two dolls are holding hands facing each other. And as the song reaches its peak, all of you hear a whisper that seems to burn itself deep into each and every one of you. And that whisper says, I promise, even if there are those who would not listen, I will make a home for us. And that is where we are going to go to our break. So we're going to try and be back in 5 to 10 minutes. Don't go no place unless it's to grab a food, grab a drink, grab a friend, or possibly go to indooradventure.redbubble.com, pick yourself up something nice, and we'll see you guys shortly. All right, everybody. See you soon! Did I press the button again this time for realsies? And it actually worked. Hello, everybody. We have...
Simon!
Ah!
My feet are cold. Do you have any recommendations for socks?
I do, actually. Our dear friend, the Hype Goblin, has gone out of her way to create some absolutely perfect socks. Although, what does the design look like, RJ? Can you possibly show?
Yeah. So they have her face on them. It's
Really?
amazing.
Is that what they are? I didn't realize that it was her face all along here, because from a distance they almost look like scales, like wonderful.
Like we could be mermaids, but then you realize it's the Hype Goblin's face.
It's just the Hype Goblin. We could be
Goblin
like,
mermaids.
I was gonna say mergoblins.
Mergoblins.
That's a new thing that we just coined here. We love you, Sarah. Our dear friend, the Hype Goblin's birthday is on the 9th. So if you want a good birthday present for her, buy some of these like affronts to God levels of socks. They're incredible and surprisingly very comfortable. I was more shocked on that one.
They might be an affront to God. My feet are nice and toasty.
You can put that on the package and ship it. All right, so last we left off, y'all were inside of this library. You heard a song that began to reach its peak, and as it did, you heard a voice say, I promise, even if there are those that would not listen, I will make a home for us. And as the voice says this, as this whisper seems to permeate the surrounding area, the room that you are in begins to blur, and with once hard stone taking on a more liquid texture, as if it were made of ink rather than it was made of granite. You watch as undying candle flames within this library turn into foggy lights until they appear to bleed into the liquid stone of this fortress. The colors continue to obscure and swirl until you start seeing outlines taking shapes from within. If any of you have seen the movie The Page Master with Macaulay Culkin and Christopher Lloyd, it is like the scene where the roof of the library is turning into just like that mishmash of paint. But this is happening to the environment that you are surrounding yourself with. Cori, you were able to get your memories back to you. Make no mistake about that. But as to why all this is happening, the rest of you are at this cutaway castle. Cori, you just heard like a weird whisper and then shit started getting wonky. But like, honestly, you let Caelum out of your sights for all of 5 seconds. This is pretty par for the course.
I mean, understanding that like something's going on, can Cori just like stuff all of her memories into a bag?
Yeah.
And reckon with them later?
For sure.
All right.
Yeah, so as all of this happens, you hear Lessinor just mention under his breath, just, what the shit is this? As again, the environment begins to turn into just this amalgamous blob of what looks like a mixture of charcoal etchings and almost like a liquid paint, until you start seeing color begin to seep its way into being out of this inky blackness. And you can see that there is a burnt orange that takes place over you, almost like a sky-like setting. And below you, you begin to see the ground turn into this greenish texture that then begins to sprout and grow, and you realize that you are standing on a grassy hillside. And on this grassy hillside, you can see that there are figures that are appearing in this ink in this kind of mixed medium focus. And you see one taller figure whose face is completely obscured, body barely recognizable, though you do see a body. It's almost like when you try and recall how something tastes, but if you were to try and put a visual representation to it, like that same kind of just, it doesn't translate necessarily.
It's like a weird disconnect.
Yeah. And you see this figure as well as a bunch of smaller figures around as it seems to be addressing them. And among these smaller figures, while most of them are just, again, this kind of blurry facsimile of child or facsimile of teacher, there is one figure that stands out, one figure that has definition, and you see what looks to be a young redheaded girl, elven, and looks maybe like she's in like her early teens, like very young in terms of elven age. And this instructor you hear has kind of like the Charlie Brown adult trumpet sound going on, but then it cuts in and says, "And that, children, is the origin of the Deep Sildari, as it was through Lolth's betrayal of our great progenitor. That is not to say that she is gone, though, children. Quite the opposite. Her influences still abound to this day. So, if you are ever alone in the dark, and one of her small ones approach you with the promise of power, just remember to heed the warnings, and instead invoke the name of Corellon to turn her away." Class dismissed. And as this adult-sized and shaped figure describes that class has been dismissed for this, you see that they turn and then begin to fade, and they reach a certain point and then just sort of merge into the surrounding colors. And as this, in quotes, class has been dismissed, you see that one of the child-sized figures gets up from where they are and approaches the redheaded girl. And as he is approaching, the redheaded girl seems to say, turning his shoulder anyways, to talk to somebody. And she says, "Well, I think it's silly. Teacher says that when Corellon and Lolth fought, that they created 2 planes for the elves to go. But doesn't that seem like we should just be... But then Lolth only will tempt us with the things that to keep us on the material plane, and Corellon wants us to be the best that we can be, as well as when we are here. But doesn't that mean that we would just be living in conflict? If there were all-powerful beings, why wouldn't they just want the best for us as a people?" And as she says this, the boy that was approaching, or at least the young figure, you see that it is boyish in nature, pipes up and says, "You would think that, wouldn't you? The princess, always trying to make a show of how much better her ideas are than ours. If you're so smart, what would you do?" And the young girl with the red hair, anticipating this, says, "I'd make a home for everyone, a place big enough for all of us to live, where it didn't matter if you were a surfacer or a deep Sildari, and then everyone could be happy." And this antagonistic child seems to scoff at her, but before he can really say anything more, another voice pipes up as a figure appears through this ink. And while the other children are as faceless as the teacher are, this other one that approaches is a face that is clear as the young girl's, and it is surprisingly a face that you all have seen before. You all remember when Caelum turned 14? I remember when Caelum turned 14. Remember the baby?
Remember the baby?
Remember the baby, guys?
I remember when he faced that. Yeah.
It is a child very similar to that, although they are a high elf and not a young Shadark high. They have, but again, kind of raven black hair, a very kind look on their eyes. And as this figure approaches, he says, "I think she can. Her family is the most powerful in the kingdom, and she's the best at magic out of all of us. If she says that she's going to do something, she's going to do it." And at that, the other children that were carousing around the scene that had been made all filled with ooh, ah, and the child that was acting antagonistic at this point seems that they are no longer interested in trying to make a point out of calling out the young princess, and they back away and with a group of their friends begin to leave as well. And the young redheaded girl sits up and says, "I didn't need you standing up for me." And the young boy, who looks like Caelum, says, "Well, I wouldn't call that standing up for you. That's letting him know as someone believes in you. Now come on, princess. We're going to miss lunch." And he extends his hand out to her, and the young girl with the red hair takes his hand in hers, and they begin walking. And as they do, she turns around, almost as if she is checking to see if she has forgotten something. And as she does, she looks at you. She looks at all of you. And her head cocks a little bit as she sees the 5 of you standing here. And it looks like she's about to say something. And you can see the face of this child is so full of pure intent as to something that she believes in. And in this moment, she is quite sure that she believes in ghosts of some sort as she stares at the 5 of you. And you see that she like kind of falls a little bit, and then the hand that she is holding like goes a little bit further distance than she is, and she rights herself and like kind of shakes her head as she turns back. And the 2 of them get lost in conversation as they continue forward. And as they continue forward, the room once again kind of fills with this almost inky-like darkness, this blackness that seems to be encompassed in what you have seen previously. And as it does, it seems to shift and shape itself until you're in what looks to be like a throne room, almost. This seems more of like a private study, but it does have very nice fancy chairs set upon it. There's just no place for people to actually come and seek audience. And upon this table, you can see that there are 2 people busy at work upon this table. One of them being a figure who looks very similar to Caelum, the other being a red-haired woman now. Both of them a little bit older, no longer in their teens. If anything, they look like they're in like elven college years. So anywhere between like, you know, looking like they're in their 20s to 30s, but probably closer to like 100 and something. And as they are working on this table, you see the red-haired woman extend her hands out, and she begins just making motions, almost like she's playing with a marionette of sorts. And as she does, you see this lump of clay upon the table begin to shift and mold. And as it does, you see that there are mountains that are being created. There are rivers, there are valleys, there is a extension of what looks like a countryside that is being manufactured and made to her design beneath her hands. And the figure that she is sitting next to laughs, and you see like he incorporates some of his magic as well and shifts around some mountains saying, "No, I think that those would be better here. I think that this would be better here." And the 2 of them seem to be laughing and enjoying the process of creating something. And he asks her, or rather tells her, "When do you think it will be ready? If it's just us, I really don't think that we're going to ever be able to get something done along this end." And she looks at him, and with the most pleased smile upon her face, she says, "That is because it won't be just us making this. It's for everyone. So we're going to need a lot of help. And the man smiles and says, I'll see what I can do. And as the two of them continue to giggle, making this small countryside, Arjhan, you over anyone have gotten a good look at the aerial view of the Shadowfell. You are recognizing places that you see in this space, in this clay manufactured making that the two of them are making together. And the world fades yet again. And as it solidifies once more, you see that that table is still there, that everything where it was is still planned, but there is a lot more definition to it now. There are crags in the mountains that weren't there before. There are buildings, there are cities, there are places that have been set up all along this small clay countryside. And you see these two individuals once more in the room, and they are embracing. The red-haired woman is getting hugged from behind, and she has a smile on her face as the two of them rock back and forth. And you hear the man say, she's going to love it. And the woman with red hair nods and says, this will be the perfect place to raise our daughter. And as they look at that, there is a knock upon the door. And from the knocking of this door, the wizard, who looks like Caelum, goes over and opens it. And standing in the doorway is a figure. Now, this figure does have a very clear look and distinction upon their face, whereas, again, many of the individuals that you have met in these memories have not been. But this individual, Caelum, is familiar to you. You recognize this wizard as somebody who was there the day that things went wrong. And they have a larger beakish nose. They have kind of like a thinner, more angular face, a little bit of a hunch to them as they ask the individual that's there if they wouldn't mind looking over part of the plan that they have set for tomorrow to make sure that everything is going to be taken into consideration, that everything is going to work out as fine as it possibly could be. And Corvain, at this point, nods and says that he will be glad to. And you watch him disappear, and the woman who would be the Raven Queen stands and looks down at this country that she has built with her hands, and she smiles. And you watch as she moves over to a desk to look at letters that have been addressed to her that are all about giving her aid in this time. It seems like a little bit of charisma goes a rather long way in terms of bolstering the people. At that, the world washes out once again, and when it arrives, Cori has seen a still moment of this. Caelum, you have lived through it, in a sense. It is atop of a tower, and on this tower, you can see that there are dozens of mages, and at the center, wearing this decorative dress, is none other than the red-haired woman that you had seen previously. And she is beginning to cast a spell. And as she does, you watch as all of the other wizards and all of the other mages that are here begin to incorporate themselves, almost like a shared ritual, to lend their magic to the queen. And as they do, you all see actively this spell goes wrong, that this goes awry. You watch as a large fractured tear appears above the space that you occupy. And in it, you see what looks like a mass and swirl of color. And she is in the process of sculpting. When from the magical runes that are inscribed atop this tower, you see a almost infectious red color begin to seep from the runes outward. And as it spreads amongst these other runes, you see like arcane electricity beginning to hop as things begin to get rather unstable. And the individual that you had seen that had spoken with Corvain asking if things were going to be, if perfect, if he could look over his notes, they seem to be extending from him. And as you look out upon this group of mages that are here, he is not the only one. There are others that also have these red spots that seem to be coming from them as well. And as this happens, you watch as the Raven Queen lifts up. She quite literally ascends from the surface that she is on as an amount of magic takes her, as a funnel seems to come from the break in the sky and addresses her and comes into her, as you watch her body get swallowed by the magic that she had called upon from the sky. And as this happens, for miles out of view, you see more breaks, more fissures appearing in the same single moment. The mages that were here atop this tower, along with you, begin to rise up as well as they get sucked into this portal. And as they are being drawn towards the fissure, you can hear a cry come from the queen herself as she, in this moment, takes her hands towards it and quickly begins to manipulate with her fingers, to articulate, to try and create something that she has had ingrained in her for years, that in this moment she tries to create a home. And as all of her followers ascend up, you watch with tears in his eyes, Corvain cast magics upon himself, seeing what has happened, and he disappears as he is swallowed into a personalized banishment spell to prevent himself from suffering the same fate as all of the others that are here. They arrive in, and you watch again everyone go. The individuals that had these red splotches, some of them ascend. Others you see also cast magics upon themselves. But the ones that ascend, you see befall a transformation of sorts. Specifically, the one with the more hooked nose that you had seen. As his body begins to convulse and that hunch seems to take over, his face taking on more bird-like qualities, hands turning from regular fingers, nails blackening and then fusing together as he becomes a more bird-like individual draped in the robes of his betrayal, as he is also taken into the Shadowfell as well. As the world is wrapped in chaos. I was getting a phone call. As the world is wrapped in chaos, once again, you see the ink and the world fade, as it has this, again, mixed medium charcoal texture to it. And as it focuses upon itself, it is inside of the chamber that, Cori, you have come to know, where the Raven Queen currently resides. And inside, you can see that this woman is fracturing between her two sides, between the forced goddess and between the mage who simply wanted a better life. And you are watching as she is continuing to shake and split. And at one point, you see a hand reaches for a stone podium and slams down. And as it does, it is the red-haired woman, not the queen that you have come to know. And as she takes deep breaths, she cries out. And she cries out for Saloon. And as she does, you hear the sound of wheels, and you hear the sound of footfalls. And coming from the shadows, you see two individuals, one in a wheelchair with a nice blanket draped over their legs, being Mistra, and Saloon, a woman who you have not actually seen in person, Caelum, but now that you are seeing her as a person, there is no other way that she could have possibly looked. Her skin is dark, her hair has this like almost star-like texture to it, and along her collarbone she wears 7 single stars, and not the design of stars necessarily. You are guessing that these are quite literally stars in the sky that she is wearing as an apparel piece. And the red-haired woman looks towards these two, and she says, "I'm for what I've done. Please, I need you to get her to him. Whatever you do, I need safe." And you can see that she is stuttering and freezing as she does. And Saloon's eyes get wide, and then she gets a more serious expression on her face, and she nods. And Mistra looks like she was ready to be so shitty for just a brief moment until she saw the pain in another young fledgling god. And together, Saloon and Mistra, you see, while the Raven Queen herself holds herself together as best she can, they, with their magics combined, draw out what looks like a small being from inside of the Raven Queen. This small little bundle that seems to glow with a moonlit light. And Saloon holds it. And she says, "We will give it to her father. He will raise her." And you see the Raven Queen, as she can, smile, sweat upon her brow, holding herself together as best she can, in an attempt to thank Mistra and thank Saloon. She is no longer able to hold her form as she shifts and changes into the creature that you have seen before. Face that looks like an uprighted nest, skulls of 1,000 ravens, minimum 1,000 ravens, upon her neck. She reaches out with a clawed hand towards Saloon and towards Mistra, and the two of them create a barrier and then quickly escape as this new deity cries out to give her back what is hers, that she will raise her. The scene shifts and changes again. This time, there are two individuals that have a fresh bundle with them. There is a woman that you have never seen before, and there is a man that, Caelum, you know is your father. And your father is holding on to a small babu, a little baby. And you hear the two of them saying, "We need to hide him. We need to keep him safe. And there is the sound of what must be 1,000 wing beats coming towards the door of this building. And this woman puts a hand onto your father's shoulder and embraces him and says, I will hold them off. Go. And she moves aside a little Shadarkai baby's hair, gives a smooch onto the forehead, embraces your father, and gives a long kiss to him. And you see your father begin to work his magic as your mother grabs a bastard sword from the wall, throw open the door, and she heads out. The world fades again. And this time, it seems far more corporeal than it did before. It seems significantly less mixed medium. And as you all look around, Lesonor's eyes are wide and looks at the four of you and doesn't exactly know what to say. But in this moment, as you look around, you realize that you are inside of what appears to be a tavern. And at this tavern, there is a nice, well-built fire. There is a older-looking individual at a bar. Let's say he's probably dwarven. We'll say he's dwarven. That just seems to be doing the, like, cleaning out a mug. And the door opens, and you see the raven-haired individual who looks very similar to Caelum walk in, and he goes up to the bar and demands a drink at this point. And he sits and contemplates for 30 minutes, 40 minutes, upwards of an hour. And the five of you are just staring, watching this, as it seems like time seems to speed up as people move by. And he just seems to be sitting, looking at his beverage, until eventually he takes a deep sigh and he snaps his fingers, and the world stops around him. And he takes a deep breath, and he turns in his seat, and he looks in the direction of the five of you. And you can see that there is magic over his eyes. It seems that he has used something to allow him to recognize the five of you. And he asks, "Will you help me?"
That's what we've been trying to do this entire time.
And he smirks. And Lesnor again, just like, what the fuck is going on?
Gwen is very much in the same boat.
Mm-hmm. And he says, he nods and says, "I've seen you there every step of the way. At some point, will you free the home that we made? Will you right the mistake?"
Caelum nods his head. All of your efforts, whatever may come, they will not be in vain. We're going to free this home, get back our daughter. I'm still very unsure about how this relationship works. We'll free the
And
queen.
They nod as you say this. And with that, they turn back to the bar and say, if you would like, you can rest here in this place.
Caelum's gonna nod, take a seat next to Corvain. So where exactly on the timeline is this?
And Corvain looks at you and says, I don't know exactly what you mean by timeline, but you 5 have been here in the background of my entire life. Tomorrow, upon the dawn, I am going to do something arguably reckless. There is a way that I can draw something out of a portal and trap it inside of a book. And when that happens, I will trade places with it, and I will find the center of all that is negative for the one thing that I hope can make a positive outcome.
What exactly do you hope to find there?
Possibility. There are those who have said that at the heart of the plane of negative energy, there are bits and pieces and fragments that have the potential for infinite possibility. If I am going to try and fix her, I need to go to that place. I need to find something that could be anything to bring my wife and child back to me.
Realizing now where I get it from, I wish you luck.
Thank you. And as Caelum and Corvain are having this, Lesnor leans down to your height, Gwen, and just, are you following any of this?
Vaguely. I usually just stay quiet until they tell me to hit something.
Good plan.
Okay. Just nod.
He just nods as you say this. Yeah.
After a few minutes of chatting with Corvain, Caelum stands and heads back to the party. This might be as good a spot as any if we need to take a breather.
Right. Where the fuck are we?
In a memory,
Cori's got kind of a bemused look on her face.
it
Caelum's communing with his memories.
Ah, yes. A
Well-
thing that we all do.
It's an elf thing.
Yeah, I remember the gem baby.
Connor, you have something to say?
I don't know how. I may be having a difficult time following. Forgive me. I just was forced to witness the genocide of my species. Can
For everyone who hasn't followed, it looks like not only people's memories that the Raven Queen has taken resides here. Things like, well, the Raven's Queen memories, whatever she's viewed. Possibly some of mine, or Corvain's at the very least.
Okay.
we have no way of knowing that this is safe from her, though. We're literally within her domain.
This might be the one place she can't affect. From what I remember, my father found a way to make their own demiplane. Took her a very long time to find it.
Is this a demi plane? Is that what this is? Can't we just go to the conference room?
Well,
would-
if this is still in her domain, then no, because she would be able to
Right.
throw
I
us
make-
out.
An Arcana check.
Yeah, you are more than welcome to make an Arcana check.
Stability of this demiplane and our safety here. Oh, 29.
Okay, a 29. You feel like the Raven Queen's domain is memory. The Raven Queen's domain is the Shadowfell. What you have done in this moment, after having let yourself be taken for this extensive ride, for lack of better terms, down memory lane, is that this is the equivalent of the one time where you deep dived into Arjhan's memories and you found yourself in a memory within a memory. That while overarching, the Raven Queen does have domain, you feel like you are on almost like a subterranean level. Because this memory that you are currently experiencing is Corvain's memory. Inside, but the Corvain who is still alive in a moment that is outside of time. It seems safe. Complicated, but safe.
So for the most part, like the Raven Queen can affect basically like surface memories, but then if you go Inception, she can't really go that far.
That is correct. Why do you think that many of the Shadar Kai that are in her employ only have their surface memory?
Mm-hmm. Turning to the group, for the most part, this is a memory inside of Corvain's memory. The Raven Queen's domain can only affect a layer. Essentially, it's the things that we remember. But as an elf, as a Shadar Kai, with memories of the past, we are safe here.
We're in recursive memories.
Recursive memories that seem kind of self-actualized, because like, look at, I don't think this is actually part of a memory, but I promise
Are
you
you
all we're
sure
safe
that
here.
we're safe? Okay. 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 It's weird, but I'll give it a pass.
I will continue to try and not think about it lest I zero sum.
Yeah.
Do not divide by 0. Your head will explode.
Lee is just looking at the lot of you and just slowly nodding along.
Girl, same.
Think of it as a safe house where we cannot be reached.
I'm not thinking about it.
Yeah, so tea, anyone? For the love
Yes.
of God, alcohol? Is this an actual bar?
It looks like an actual bar.
Sweet. Gwen rolls up.
Yeah. If you order beers, you will have actual beers.
Oh god.
Do
Do they exist?
I leave this place, will I still be drunk?
That's a
Will it all
question
get
for
sucked out of
Gwen.
my blood?
If you drink out of your thing, you won't get drunk.
Do they have any like cool things? Because this is like in the past.
So in the past, I guess.
Is there like a limited run alcohol that we can only get here?
Yeah.
Yes. We will say that there is.
Crystal Pepsi.
Fuck.
It says Surge on the wall. I don't know what that means.
Sounds good though.
Oh my gosh.
4 Loco made with real Loco.
You know, before they took out the energy drink inside For Loco.
No.
Nice in the courtyard.
Actually,
Huh?
I don't like that.
Cyber,
Yeah.
Oh.
Brew name?
in Tyrant Security,
Mhm.
there was a specific beverage that was made.
Yes.
What was the name of that beverage?
Tyrant Energy.
Okay, so it's not going to be named Tyrant Energy, clearly. However, you do find that there are several bottles of, we'll call it,
Red Minotaur. Scarlet Minotaur.
you know what?
Gives you-
You could just call it Green Dragon, and it would just be a straight translation from the real product. But we're not sponsored, so we can't do that one. Let's come up with the name of a fantasy energy drink.
What's something that's really fast?
Crossbolt.
I like Crossbolt.
I like that too. Yeah, I
Sure.
can't think of anything else.
Yep. RJ.
Oh no, that was me saying I.
Oh,
Like,
okay. Yeah, so you find that they have a very potent, very powerful beverage called Crossbolt.
Yes, I'd like one of those, please.
Can I get a crossboat vodka?
Yeah, they will give each of you one of these potions.
All right.
Oh dear.
There is like specifically a customer limit as far as a sign goes. They cannot vouch if you drink more than that.
What is it, like really strong or something? All right, Gwen.
Oh, no, let's see.
Yeah.
Wait, you specifically said this is a potion. Could Arjhan load it into their crossbow?
Well,
That's one way to shotgun a beverage, am I right?
well,
God.
meta. Are these the statistics that I came up with? 'Cause
Uh,
if so, God help you.
that you all experience the effects of a long rest?
At what cost?
What? do you-
Everything.
That's
Perfectly
something that we
balanced.
can figure out in a hot second. But for right now, these beverages basically give you the equivalent of a long rest.
Man, I don't know what they're talking about. These drinks are amazing. I can't believe that they even exist. We should make them when we get back. Because if we make them, then I can do all the stuff.
Lee, has not opened his. And he is just going to slide his unopened one to Arjhan.
Guys, I'm gonna go for a run. I'll be right back.
No. Don't leave the tavern. You could do some push-ups.
Okay. Gwen starts doing push-ups.
Okay. But yeah, so
Well,
through
Gwen-
through Crossbolt, all things are possible. Take the effects of having a long rest.
While Gwen is doing push-ups, Caelum's just gonna sit on her back.
Yeah. While we're enjoying our beverages, Cori's gonna sit down next to Lee.
Enjoying.
He's gonna sit down next to Lee and say, "So, Senor Lee, we've gotten to know each other pretty well. let me explain everything that's happening here.
That would be pretty nice, actually. Why do your beverages smell like electricity?
I do not have an answer for that.
It would actually smell more like ozone.
It smells like burning.
Why is it spicy?
So you see, Caelum's previous life was, and then she just like goes into it.
And he is just nodding, nodding, nodding.
Really?
Do elves still experience their previous lives here? Because from what my experience, that probably wouldn't be a thing.
Like, where I'm from?
Mm-hmm.
If they do, they don't talk about it. To be fair, not many of us can get close to any of the ravens without finding a blade through us, but that's pretty much why I stuck to the swamp.
I'm going to assume it's a no then. Anyway, continues explanation. This goes on for several minutes.
Caelum springboards off of Gwen's back to land beside Corvain because I just had a thought. Corvain, Mr. Nightfeather.
I haven't been called that in years.
Can I see your notes?
My
On the plane of negative energy.
Sure. As long as you promise to use them for good, I suppose.
Well, sure.
That does not fill me with much confidence.
Well, there's some things that I know because we're from the future, but don't worry about
like
it.
Eyebrows raised when you say that you're from the future.
Magic bullshit.
Chronomancy?
Not really. It's actually like a deep dive into someone else's memories.
And he
It's some Nomura shit.
leans forward when you say this and just... Have you been following me? Like, is this one of those, like, you made sure that I was powerful enough as a child so that way when I reach peak magic power that you're going to, like, usurp my body?
If anything, you've been following me for a majority of my life. It's kind of like a full circle sort of thing.
Circuitous?
Yeah.
All right, well, I guess...
You know, I feel like anything I say will not dissuade you from doing what you're about to do. Because honestly, it is your only option.
Stop you.
But this information will not be used for evil.
All right. And he pulls out a spell book that at this point you know too well. And he sets it upon the table. These are my notes that I've compiled on the plane of negative energy. There's not really much that can be done on that. Or I guess at this point it wouldn't be the spellbook that you would know. This looks like it is a black grimoire that is waiting to have something occupy it.
Oh, yeah. Well, at the very least, you will be successful in sealing whatever comes out of that portal. Drags it over to himself and starts paging through it.
And Corvain smiles to himself as he takes a drink and he says, I know, I'm the best damn mage on this plane.
Yeah, but you're full of hindsight situations.
And he says, and he just sort of like brushes that off. So Caelum, what exactly are you looking for through this grimoire?
Honestly, he's just trying to fill in any like missing blanks. If this grimoire is a 1-to-1, he's going to look for the pages of the Soul Severance spell.
Okay. Yeah, it looks like the almost like the exact pages that you had. A little fresher.
He's going to pull out his own Soul Severance spell scroll and compare the notes. And basically, if there's any flaw in the Soul Severance spell, not that he doesn't trust the Archmage, it might get filled in.
No, it looks 1-for-1 at this point. If anything, like, you notice that there are a few like small errors that are there that you are just like, no, like you're looking at yours and you see that like those bits had been corrected at one point. And so you go back and correct his in order to create a more fleshed out version.
Rolls the scroll up, puts it away, closes the book, slides it back to Corvain. Well, I feel better about what I have to do.
And he says, somehow I do as well.
This might be only a memory, but if you do fail, there will be others after you who will free the land and save the queen.
And he nods and says, well, I hope that all things considered, I'm the one who's there to see it through.
You will.
And he smiles at you. The very heartfelt, weary smile.
Gwen like jumps up from the ground and then walks over to Caelum and like looks at Corvain up and down. She just says, "Hey Caelum, how'd you feel about me becoming your stepmom?"
Wow, that's very inappropriate.
I'm sorry, I have a lot of energy. Woo!
Considering one, I am not a child of the Raven Queen. I am. No. Just no. That's
I've
wildly inappropriate, Gwen.
got a few ideas of memories that you could look up. Since he and she.
There is a moment, Gwen, where you just feel a hand on your shoulder. All right, come on. I think you need to have some water. And Lesinor is just gonna like carouse you back to the table.
I'm fine.
By the
Hey, do you
by,
want to arm wrestle?
by the by, how do you deal with the whole Magister of Mystra thing?
What do you mean?
From the future, I was given that mantle. Kind of feels like all I do is really disappoint her.
That's how you know that you're doing the right job.
The last time I tried to cast a spell, I broke her arm. I don't think that's really the right job.
Maybe. Don't do that.
It's like the biggest weapon I have in my arsenal. I try to only use it when we're in dire straits.
For what it's worth, Mystra will be fine. She is injured, but she is not incapable. As long as her spirit and her mind are still as strong as they once were, what happens to her, she is strong enough to overcome. She has a mentality of the greater good. She upset.
The greater good.
Little creepy that you repeat it in such a phrase.
Sorry, it's just been like sort of ingrained. It's weird. I know.
I understand. She... If anything happens to her, she will recover in time. But it will take some time. So as long as what you are doing is for the good of the realm, you will have her forgiveness.
Let me pick your brain about something. If you could focus the weave in a way, almost like a clerical spell, enough of the energy, would you be able to recover a deity, basically, in essence?
If you want to restore something, a deity, you do not give them clerical magics, because that magic is based in your belief towards them that you would then be reciprocating. If you want to give them power, if you want to give them strength, if you want to give them the ability to heal, give them followers. Tell their stories. Speak of how strong they are. Speak of how wonderful they are. Of how moving their speech is, how brilliant their minds. That is how you raise a god. That is how you bring them back.
Or raise one up.
I suppose. Now, this has been lovely, but I must get a meditation in before I attempt to do what I am about to do tomorrow.
Best of luck to you then.
As to you.
Caelum will stand, clap Corvain on the back, which is a weird thing. And head back to his party.
Okay. Then at the table, Cori has been giving the energy drink fueled explanation of everything that's happened to Lesnor, who has just been smiling and nodding this entire time.
Did Coriander get up to the part where I'm him?
I don't know, Cori, did you?
She kind of opened with that.
Yeah, I don't know how else to say it, so I'm just gonna come out with it. Y'all are wild.
You should see what we get up to on the weekends.
What's a weekend?
Yeah, we need to take this guy to ice cream. Come on, guys.
What's ice cream?
Oh, bless his heart.
You are not ready for ice cream.
Fair.
Well, now I kind of want it even more.
Ha! That's the spirit.
No, it's fine. I'll take your word for it.
We'll do frozen yogurt. Just sort of ramp him into it.
Shaved ice. That way we can control how much sauce there is.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
He just is just perplexed about all of these.
Ice cream is cold flavored milk that has been churned to a more solid consistency.
Why would you want solid milk?
because it's refreshing.
Cold. Let's go.
Also,
that's
we-
right. He doesn't know what the sun is. Oh my god.
By the by, we probably shouldn't feed Lessinor ice cream. His body might not be able to handle it.
Oh, yeah.
What I
No,
was
that's
saying.
why we're going to use frozen yogurt.
Maybe not that either.
What?
Shaved ice, as Gwen
How-
said.
How long are we here? How do we get out?
That's the better question.
I assume once Corvain has finished his meditation, this will all drop away. It's about 4 hours.
At
If
this point,
if he's meditating, how does he remember? I'm not going to think about it.
Arjhan, as you say that you are not going to think about it, the room begins to meld once again. And as it does, it reaches a certain point of that liquid state that it had before where everything sort of bled together. But then you see that it hardens and a large fracture line appears directly in front of you all. And you hear a as two large clawed hands reach into the fissure and curl and pull open. And as it does, the lot of you spill outward from this fissure, and you find yourself in a room. And in this room, upon the walls, are a impossible number of statues that are doll-shaped, doll-sized, that look like they are just repeats of thousands upon thousands of Shadarkai, all the same model, all the same make, all lining these walls. There are a few that are different, that are spaced around. You see that there are shelves as well. Some of these shelves contain what look like Goliaths. Others of these shelves have what look like Dragonborn. It looks like a variety of every make that you could possibly have of a follower of the Raven Queen can be found here as a figure, as a piece for her to play with. And in this room, you see that there is a large screen, and on that screen that just sort of seems to float, not attached to anything, you see that there is what looks like a view of a child's room that is in a state of disrepair. And inside of that room, you see a young girl wearing what looks like an owl hoodie that just seems to be sitting alone. Inside of this room, to the back, sitting in a chair, you see what looks like a body that has been propped up. And you recognize this as the decayed body of Corvain that has been kept by the queen. And with a flurry of wings, you see these 1,000 ravens seem to swirl down into a central cone that extends upward, and from that you see claws extend outward. These ravens then meld into a dress that has these large plumes that come from it, and with this large bird's nest of a face with an immaculate smile looking down upon the lot of you, she asks, "What brings you to my palace?"
Caelum, what do you need?
Caelum is going to reach behind him. In one hand is the scroll, in the other hand is the puzzle box. Gonna need her name.
And when you pull out puzzle box and scroll, you see that she sort of like recoils a little bit. And as she does, her image flickers to show a red-haired elven woman that looks very quickly at your group, and she has a brief hopeful look to her as that image then fades back to the queen as you know her.
If Caelum can spot this, it's a really big if that he's gonna go for, but he takes his mask off and throws it to the side. Hopefully, like the visage of Corvain will help her fight this off.
Let me know when you need the distraction, buddy.
And Lessinor just like shook, like daggers at the ready. And
You get out of here.
Caelum, make a persuasion check.
Oh.
Bye. Do
My
we
boy,
gotta
you can do this. You can do it.
do we gotta blood chalice roll?
No.
Do we got a guidance?
No.
Do we
I have a guidance.
Okay.
Bop.
Bop. That's a 1d
4.
Could have been a D8, but no.
Okay. I have a -1 to persuasion. This is gonna be great. Oh. Okay. Plus a D4. 16.
Okay.
Tiamat with the 4.
Tia, bless.
Praise Queen. So as you do this, as you attempt to throw this off, you see that the long clawed hand of the fractured queen comes out to try and grip at you, but as it does, there is a moment where the castle that you are in shudders and shakes, and as it does, it then almost flips to show instead the queen of the Raven people, of the Shadarkai, this red-haired woman. And as she does, the image that is on the screen shifts and fades as well. And on the image that you see is the 4 of you, Lessinor not included. But it is an image of the 4 of you fighting fish people in a boat. You all look very young and very hopeful during this period. And there is a moment where the red-haired woman looks at your group and she says, "Whatever you're going to do it now." And as she says this, she grips at her abdomen, and you hear a howl begin to come from inside her as tears begin to pour from her eyes.
Caelum, bless or ward. Bless or ward.
Bless. And Caelum quickly slides 2 or 3 pieces of the puzzle box as he begins to cast the Soul Severance spell.
Okay.
Coriander, I'm gonna need that name now.
Out
I
of
cast
character,
bless.
how does this work? Do I tell him the name or am I invoking the name?
When you invoke the name at this point, so Caelum has the spell scroll activates, glows, does everything that a spell scroll is wont to do. But at this point, you see Caelum, as you were activating this scroll, roll an Arcana check for me.
Oh no. 29!
This is a really good time to roll high. So, Caelum, as you do this, there is a moment where you know that this is big magic. This is a spell that is, again, past what one would normally be able to do. However, in this place, in this fortress, this is a place that somewhere deep inside of you, in a past life, this was your home. This was your place of power as well, not just hers. And drawing from that place of power, as the spell begins to shake and shudder, having that same kind of glitching effect that you have seen on the queen herself, you are able to breathe in and out and stabilize the spell as it continues, with one hand solving the rest of this puzzle box like some kind of fucking monster who does Rubik's cubes with one hand. I don't know.
On the fucking train.
Yeah, on the train. I don't know. I don't have trains out here. Okay, we have Amtrak and it's different. But
Knights in the courtyard. I gotta go find the video.
Excellent. But you finish this as the spell goes, and as the queen, as you have seen her, begins to shift and fade, and as she is curled over, you see the visage interchanging with the fractured queen. The moat is released from the puzzle box and begins to merge towards the spell, and at the peak of the scroll and the moat combining, Cori, you know what to do.
Cori puts herself between the party and the queen, and she says, Zurina Kessia Kier.
And as you do, you hear both voices, that of the fractured queen and that of the red-haired woman who would have been queen, begin to howl in unison. And as they do, that word acts as a binding agent between the moat and the spell scroll that then combine, and in a shower of golden light that seems to wreathe from behind you, it wraps around the two of them. These red threads that you have seen previously then become apparent, almost as if they were hidden before, but you can see they have this haphazard look of a quick stitch that has been made between the two of these figures. And as these two are shown stitched together, shifting in and out between the two of them, that golden light rests in the area between each and every single stitch. And as it does, you see that stitch dissolve and separate as the two of them continue to divide and split and fracture until these two figures are no longer one and the same. They are pulled apart from each other. And you see on the ground, there is the red-haired woman breathing heavily, and next to her is a smiling creature with a face similar to that of a forward-facing bird's nest, who looks at the lot of you, and with the most wicked smile of pure intent, she says, without a single stutter in her voice, "Thank you." And that's where we're going to call it for tonight's episode. So tune in next week as we hit episode 150 for some absolute bullshit that's about to go down. I'm super excited about it. Wowee, gang. I can't believe that we made it 150 episodes going on that. It's going to be a great time. Speaking of great times, though, hey, RJ, where can I find you? What do you do?
Hey everybody, I'm RJ, and you can catch me at RJustice282 on Twitter and Twitch, where I tweet about the nerdy things in my life and sometimes stream with my pals. You can catch me here as Caelum, the Shatterkai Wizard, on Mondays. I'll save the joke for later. Hey, on Thursdays we're doing a hack of Elegant Magics and Urban Shadows called Elegant Shadows over at GGK. I play a Spectre who owns a bar called the Psychopomp. It's great. Their signature drink is the Psychopomp and Circumstance. Saturdays over at GGK once again. Not this week, though, because we are taking a break from our Star Power campaign. Sunday in the morning over at the Hype Goblins channel, where we do another 5e campaign that's homebrewed. And finally, in the PM, we're doing Witchlight here on Indoor Adventures. I play Vice. He's a shitter. DanaeKeener.com.
Hello, everybody. I'm LBHackEmUp. You can find me at LBHackEmUp on the Twitters and the Twitches, or you can find Krieg there too. He's just gonna hang out on screen while I do my pitch. You can find me tomorrow playing Resident Evil Revelations 2 because we bought the game thinking that it was 2-player and it wasn't. So I'm gonna play that on Tuesday. After that, you can find me on my own channel on Friday, where we're gonna play some horror games. Then back on Sunday at GGK for some Slaying 201, where I play Victoria. She's a cheerleader and a professional. She carries a gun now. After that, you'll watch our Masks game back on LBHackEmUp channel, where I think the group is going to Russia to rescue someone who, might be mind controlled. Okay. Krieg says we're done. DanaeKeener.com.
There were a lot of things that were said just now. Hoy, I'm Cyber. You can find me here on Mondays. I'm here. I think that's the only RPG stuff I'm doing. I do the Isocross campaign diaries on or whenever I play that home game or whenever I run that home game. But holidays, schedules, it's fun. Speaking of weird holiday schedules, I stream on Twitch. We just finished our 1201 charity and raised like $550, so that's cool. I don't know what I'm doing for the rest of the year. It's gonna be some loosey goosey potpourri. DanaeKeener.com.
Speaking of
Gonna smell great.
DanaeKeener.com. Oh, speaking of DanaeKeener.com, hi everybody, I'm Danae Keener. You can find me at DanaeKeener.com. I do nerdy drawings mostly related to D&D and a lot of things on this channel. You can also find me at Danae Keener on Twitter. I have a pinned tweet there that has my schedule. You can see all of the stream games that I'm in. DanaeKeener.com.
And if you've made it this far, you probably already know who I am. But if you don't, hey, Acorns, what's up? It's me, your buddy, your pal, your friend, the Indoor Adventurer, the showrunner here at twitch.tv/IndoorAdventures. We do shows like this on Monday at 5:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time and Sunday at 7 o'clock p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Eventually, a Thursday game will be incorporated once again. But scheduling is difficult towards the end of the year, as it would turn out. So, best case scenario, worst case scenario. Look forward to it in January. It's going to be a good time. It's going to be mechs, and I'm going to love it. But we also have our Witchlight game at 7 o'clock p.m. Pacific Standard Time, as we had just mentioned. All of our games can be found as either VODs or audiocasts, wherever audiocasts are made available for free. And speaking of things that are being made available for free, if you go to patreon.com/indooradventures. One of these days, I swear to God, I will get that outro right. You can find our after show called Nights in the Courtyard, where we answer questions not only from each other, but also from the community. So if you have any questions for myself or any of these other fine folk, feel free to once again join us at our Discord. You can find the link in the description of this video or audiocast down below, or in the Twitch chat to the side. But we are going to be heading out, so I just wanted to say once again, thank you to everybody who decided to stop on by. Thank you to these players for putting up with my bullshit once again this week. And we'll see all of you guys next time. All right, everybody. Bye-bye.